Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. After yesterday's stormy weather, today has been an absolutely beautiful day, but it's a little windy. Getting some, it's calm like right now, and then all of a sudden we'll just get this huge gust of wind. But other than that, temperature, humidity, sunlight, everything is just right where it needs to be. I had been saying, and I said it this morning, and sure enough, it came out in the news today that, and I'm sure this is all, it's all orchestrated, okay? I get that. But it came out in the news today that Israel is making preparations to attack Iran. Not a big surprise there. Iran, I think their supreme leader guy, whatever his name is, stated that it was unlikely that any kind of peace deal was going to be made between the United States and Iran. And so, like I said, now Israel is saying that they're making plans to attack Iran, and they're not backing down one bit from Gaza. Trump has gotten a little bit more vocal about that, about how it's imperative that Israel gets this wrapped up real quick because the people in Gaza are struggling, suffering, but Israel has said that they're going to finish this up. It's being talked about in the news, at least by one congressman, that there's now evidence or whispers in Washington, at least, that the auto pen that Joe Biden was accused of using, or his staff was using to sign documents. Now they're saying that a lot of these pardons that he gave were favors done, or were paid, not favors, that people were paying White House staff for the pardons, and then the White House staff was using Joe Biden's auto pen to have the pardons signed without him even really knowing them. A lot of stuff starting to come out now. Joe Biden, they're saying he's got this stage 4 prostate cancer, and there's a lot of stuff about that. But if he doesn't last long, who knows the kind of stuff that's just going to start pouring out from that. I don't know, but I suspect it could be a lot. And then also today, Donald Trump posted on social media that he's wanting Congress to fund and to pass legislation pushing for more 5G technology and for 6G technology. That we've got to hurry up and get on the ball. We've got to get that 6G stuff out. 5G is not cooking enough birds and enough people. We need to bump it up to the 6G. China, just a few weeks ago, announced that they were testing 10G. They were working on 10G technology. So, but the president is all behind that. We got to do that because everybody's got to have AI brain chips in their head from Elon Musk. So we need to get the 6G stuff rolling so that they have a way to control all of us. Anyways, yeah, I know, probably just made a bunch of people mad, right? I'm good at that. That's my shtick, right? Just make a bunch of people mad. Now hurry up, go unsubscribe, and then come back in the comments and tell me how much you're gonna unsubscribe. Oh well. So this morning I kind of mentioned this, and I've talked about it a little bit. Not necessarily this, but I have talked about recently a few times about how the earth is going through a major cyclical change. And I'm not talking politically and socially, I'm talking about physically, right? And there's all sorts of theories, there's YouTube channels, some of them seem to be fairly legitimate and reputable, but there's lots of scientific theories out there of what's going on. We're going to have a pole shift. Is there going to be 1,000-foot tsunami that covers most of the earth? Are we going to go through another Noah-like flood? Bible says that he won't flood the whole earth again, but maybe he'll flood part of it. All kinds of stuff that's becoming more and more likely to happen, or at least it's becoming more serious. So anyways, one of the things that I think is more solid in the scientific evidence area is the electromagnetic field is weakening. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about it. It was in the news that Spain, Portugal, parts of France, their grid went down just randomly, just out of nowhere went down. And at the time, it was being talked about that it could take weeks for this to come back up. In fact, I even reported on that, said that if it did take weeks, we're watching a major SHTF unfold. Well, it didn't take weeks. It took, a couple of days. They got it back up, and so there was a lot of debate of what was going on, and there's still people out there that believe it was terrorism, cyber attacks, stuff like that, and it could be. But so far, the official story is that it was solar activity. Solar activity knocked the grid out over there. And at that time, there wasn't any kind of big solar flare that would have done it. And they're just saying it's just magnetic field is weakening. Well, it's happened again, except it's not the grid, it's communications grid. It's not the electric grid, it's the communications grid. Cell phone providers pretty much across the country have lost power. They're not functioning. People don't have cellular service, internet, all that kind of stuff. And once again, they're saying it's because of solar activity. Now, the theories are, and I'm not saying these are correct, the theories are that there's a weak spot in the magnetic field over that part of the Earth, and that the pole has shifted or moved. The North Pole has moved, because it's been moving. It's been making its way towards Russia, and then it's moved again pretty rapidly. There was one guy posting, did a lot of scientific, study in this, and he said that over the last 12 to 18 months that the whole axis of the Earth has tilted, that it's spinning on at a different angle. And while all of this could be bunk, okay, I get it. If there's any sliver of truth to it, and then this has happened in Spain, and if there's any sliver of truth to that being caused by solar activity, then we may be further along than we thought. And I would like to get your opinion of this. I know that some of you don't believe in a round globe Earth. You don't believe in space. You don't believe the sun's, tens of millions of miles away, hundreds of millions, all this kind of, stars out there, light years away. Some of you do. I'm not into debating and arguing that. But do you think that this is something legitimate? Do you think it's close? I know a lot of you do. A lot of people think we're looking at the year 2040 is the year, or around about that time, that these events could start really taking place. That's not that far away, folks. It's not that far. It's 15 years away. A lot of us will still be around by then. Some people believe that it's going to wipe pretty much everything out in North America unless you live in the highest mountain peaks. Others don't believe it's quite that severe. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what to tell you. I know that there is some compelling evidence, historically and scientifically, to indicate that this kind of thing will happen. And I do lean towards there being some type of cataclysmic event. When you read in scripture of the end times, and it talks about all of these horrible atrocities and how, a third of this and a third of that and a third of this is going to die, and disease and famine and all these kinds of horrible things. Some type of pole shift, solar flare, magnetic field weakened, all that could potentially cause that, maybe. And so, like I said in my previous video, with all this stuff going on, one has to wonder, is it all, and I'm talking all of it now and the stuff in the past several years, is it all being done as a big distraction so that the wealthy can consume all the gold in your wealth, which is what they've been doing. They've been stockpiling all that. They've been buying up land. They've been, and then developing all this technology so that, the people that do exist can be controlled. And then they'll have AI and robotics to fill in the gap because so many people's going to be dead. There's been predictions for many years that massive amounts of the Earth's population is going to be reduced. And there's been a lot of speculation and stuff that a lot of these elites is what they're wanting to do. So to kind of stay on this track of out there in the weeds of crazy town conspiracies, does it really matter so much if Israel and Iran blow each other up, or the United States gets in a war with China, or Russia and Ukraine, nuke each other? I don't know. And I'm not saying not to, you know, who cares if these things happen. What I'm saying is that while those things can be important and can affect us, let's not discount this other stuff that does sometimes sound a little fringy unless you really get into it and quite start trying to really understand it. But I think there's something there. And I have for a very long time. I've studied this stuff for, you know, probably a decade now. And I don't feel like I'm any kind of expert on it, but I do believe that there's something there, and that we should take precautions. Now, of course, you know, a lot of you are going to say, okay, if there was this 1,000-foot tsunami, how in the world do I prepare for that? Well, your normal preparations aren't going to work. Maybe try to live in a place that's a little bit better chances of surviving that. If you got bunkers, I guess, who wants to be living in the ground with a bunch of water over the top of you? Not me. Or just do the best you can and have faith that that the Father will protect you. I don't know, but I think that we can't just discount these things just because they're so extreme that it seems unlikely. Like I said, there's stuff happening. I mean, there's been clear evidence over the last few years that some of the bigger solar flares that's happened has affected the planet much worse than previous ones in decades past. And the likely answer to that is that the magnetic field is weakening. Okay? It's weakening, and at some point, you know, the big one's going to get through, and it's going to really hurt us big time. You know, was it the CDC or whoever it was several years ago did that study, or congressional office did the study that if there was a major CME, that 90% of the United States citizens would die within the first year. 90%. That's massive. You know, 300 million people dying in 1 year. There wouldn't even be the ability to bury all those bodies, because most everyone would be dead. Who's going to bury them, right? There's a lot of possibilities here. And I know that a lot of times we get wrapped up in the geopolitical stuff that's going on because it's ever changing, it's chaotic, and it's exciting sometimes. But let's not forget that these other things may be the root cause of all the chaos that's happening. We have to prepare for those too. Because if these things that I speak of do happen, they'll be far, far more destructive than what a politician can do. So I would suggest you get prepared as much as possible. Oh, goodness. There's so much to think about, right? You need to get your houses in order, folks, and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.